view. When you see kids, when you see adults, when you see children, or even babies. Do these pictures look familiar? The purpose of my speech today is just to encourage all of us as parents or as siblings, as friends, but to encourage children not to have cell phones all the time. And specifically for children under the ages of maybe 14 to 16 years old to not have kids and to not have kids, to not have cell phones. I want to prefix with I am not a mom, nor do I know how hard parenting is, nor do I want to tell you how to be a parent. But I just want to inform you of the severe effects that screen time and electronics will have on children, especially like infants and toddlers. So I want to start out with a few facts. 4 in 5 kids are on social media, like actively on social media posting by the age of 12. The average age for a smartphone is 10 years old. And 6 in 10 kids don't get enough sleep because of electronics or screen time or video games, tablets, anything to do with the screen. And some more important facts are, according to ChildWise, kids ages 5 to 16 spend an average of 6.5 hours on screens a day. And with teenage boys, that's even higher, with an average of 8 hours a day. That's a lot of time. The average time, that 6.5 to 8 hours a day averages out to about 90 days, or a total of 3 months. 3 months out of the whole year staring at screens, video games, TVs, computers, phones, anything to do with the screen. 5-year-olds actually have much thinner skulls than we as adults. So adults is over the age of about 18. Their skulls are much thinner, and so they have a lot more fluid in their brain, and that fluid causes the brain to absorb 10 times more of the radiation from screens. And that 10 times is even higher with kids that are under 5 years old. So 5 years old, it's 10 times the radiation the adults' brains attract, and under 5 years old, it's more than 10 times. And the last fact that I read, and I couldn't believe, is that tweens, so about the 10 to 14-year-olds, spend less time outside than prisoners do. So that is a lot of time that children are spending on these screens, and they're not being physically active, and their brains are physically not capable to handle the stress and anxiety that comes from being on these screens. And the effects that come from them being on the screens can range from a lot of issues, from sleep issues, keeping them up at night, and even if they're not on their phones at night, their minds just stir, and that's where the insomnia or ADHD comes into play. And so there's a lot of mental and emotional and physical health problems. Some of the physical health problems that come from it are their necks tend to lean forward because they're always staring down at their phone. And then their spines are doing the same thing to compensate for their necks pushing down. So this causes a lot of, it can cause a lot of physical issues with their bodies. There's also obesity and vision issues that come from just sitting on a screen. poor relationship management skills and academic and learning issues are a big delay in children. And so I know a lot of you are probably parents or even grandparents. And so I don't want to come and make it sound like you're a bad parent if your kids are on screens, if or make it sound like your kids are bad for being on screens, because I have small children, small siblings under the ages of 5, and I also have a lot of nieces and nephews and cousins, and so I understand that sometimes it's easier to just give them a screen. And I think that that's okay, giving them a screen to keep them entertained, but that needs to come with limits. So how can we limit that screen time? One of the top recommendations is do not allow screens, so TVs, phones, electronics, in the children's bedroom. That will separate once they go into bed. That's the time to sleep and rest and recover from the day. Another one is find more interactive things for your kids to do. Give them a sport or a hobby, coloring books, board games, puzzles. Just give them anything to do, because that will help them to grow their brain. And actually, boredom makes kids think and helps them grow. And then the last thing is there are actually parent control apps. So I downloaded a few of them here, and you can manage the screen time of your kids. So this is very helpful to manage how long they're on at a day. So you can set limits for 1 hour a day. So the last thing I want to talk about is if you're like my sister-in-law who feels like she has to give her kids a screen or she's going to go crazy, here are the guidelines from the American Academy of Pediatrics. So for screen time, for children under the age of 18, screens should be avoided entirely. For children ages 18 months to 2 years, they can watch or use as long as it's high quality screens and content, but you should always have a parent there to encourage them and showing them what the best way is to use the screen and what's coming from it. Ages 2 to 5 years old should have no more than 1 hour in a day, and ages 6 years and older should have consistent limits, which is where the parental control apps come in, and they should have consistent limits so that they know their boundaries, and it will help with ADHD and the insomnia and all of these other health problems that can come from it. So I just encourage you to spend less time on your phone and encourage kids, especially under the ages of 14 to 16, to spend less time on their phones.